Welcome to your Space and Rise and Shine Yoga. I hope your morning is or was as beautiful as this one. Today's class is going to cover some relaxation and release techniques through constructive rest, pranayama, and gentle somatic yoga to release held tension in neuromuscular patterns. You might like to have a blanket with you and a space on the floor. We're going to start in constructive rest on our backs with knees bent and feet on the floor. This is an opportunity to check in and let the body settle down towards the surface below. You might place your arms out to the sides with the palms up, and this allows the shoulders. You can even move the shoulder blades in towards center and down towards the pelvis to open the chest and allow for easier breathing. Feel the weight of gravity sink your thoughts down towards the ground. And then you might start to notice the breath. Just notice how it appears. Now you might place one hand on the belly and one on the chest to see how it feels. Where does it enter and how does your body respond on the inhale? And then as the breath leaves on the exhale, looking at what happens, feeling what happens, without trying to change it too much. It's a natural response to try to change it. Be gentle with yourself. See if you can invite an evenness to the inhales and exhales. And then we're going to direct the breath. See if we can make changes ourselves. Starting with the hand on the chest. As you breathe in, see if you can just move that hand up. And as you exhale, let it fall back down. This is called chest breathing. The upper ribs expand on the inhale and relax on the exhale. Notice any other changes of sensation in the body as just this hand rises and falls. Now we bring both hands to the base of the ribs, and now we'll see if we can get those hands to rise on the inhale, or expand or move, and then come back to the starting position on the exhale. So we're just sending the breath a little bit lower into the lungs. Again, look for change in sensation. You might feel it even up in the brain. You might not feel anything. That's okay. Just keep breathing. Keeping the breath nice and steady. If it helps to count, you can count to 4 or 5 or 6 on the inhale and just match that on the exhale. Or you can feel it out. Remember that the exhale is just as important as the inhale. So now we'll move our hands and our awareness down to our abdomen and take your time seeing how you can direct the breath not only to the base of the lungs, but to the respiratory diaphragm as it expands out and down. And on each inhale, your hands expand around the belly, the low belly, and come back towards center on the exhale. Relax as much as you can. This isn't always easy the first time or first few times. So keep trying. Keep breathing. It'll come. And now we're going to move the hands, one back to the chest and keep one on the belly. And we're going to do an entire torso breath. Imagining, feeling, sensing the whole torso expanding on the inhale together as one unit. Front, sides, and back like a balloon. Make it gentle. Might feel mechanical at first because if we're not used to it, it's a new skill. Might help to visualize the breath coming in through the nose and traveling down to the very center of your torso and then expanding out from there. And then all relaxing back towards center on the exhale. So keep your breaths nice and even and long. Relaxing where you can, shoulders, neck, jaw, pelvis, hips, thighs. Now take one final inhale and exhale. And bring your arms back out to the sides, palms up, and come to a more natural breath. Just notice any response or sensation. Here as we release tension one more time. Tuning in mind and body. This is yoga. So now we prepare to move into our Gentle Somatic Yoga sequence. These are very subdued, slow exercises. So you might want to take any movements or stretches before we get started. In case there's an excess of energy, we can just kind of stretch from toes to fingers and fingers down to heels. Yeah. And then we're going to bring ourselves to a mat mountain. So just kind of standing, but we're on our backs. And this is going to stretch and release tension in the psoas, but with the opposite leg. You'll love it. So bring the right knee towards the chest. Just let it hover. And we're going to clasp our fingers around the outside of the knee, but not to pull it in, really just to rest it there. And try to relax and release all effort and tension in the rest of the body, except for the left leg. Toes are going to point up and we're going to engage the left leg. Now, one key of Gentle Somatic Yoga is that we come from a place of rest and release. So when we engage that left leg, it's like only that exists. And now we lift it so the heel is like a foot off the ground and we hold it for a breath. And slowly lower it back down. And then we release all effort now. And see how the right leg responds. Maybe the knee comes a little closer. Anyway, we're going to try it again. And now the left leg engages, toes point in. Internal rotation. Lift the leg, hold it for a breath cycle. Slowly lower it back down. Release effort again. And see if that right knee doesn't come in closer by itself. Okay, one more time. We engage the left leg. Toes point out. External rotation of the left leg. And then we raise it up again. Hold it for a breath. And then slowly lower it back down. And release all effort again. And just notice if that right knee comes closer. If not, that's okay. But, just try to notice. And now we extend both legs, maybe into a Shavasana for a brief moment. See if you can sense a difference between both sides in the psoas, the front of the hips. Just taking a moment to observe before we do it again on the opposite side. So take what you need here. Get settled into mountain and bring the left knee to the chest. Again, we're clasping our fingers around the front of the knee, but we're not pulling. And now we engage the right leg. Make sure that we release all tension in the rest of the body. And then we're going to lift that right leg. Hover it for one full cycle of breath before lowering the leg back down, and then even relaxing that right leg and see what happens with the left. But then we're going to keep going. Engage the right leg, point the toes in for internal rotation. Engage, lift, hover, and gently, slowly lower. Then we'll release all effort. Notice what happens with the left leg. If nothing, it's great, you're still noticing. And we'll do it one more time. Engaging the right leg, pointing the toes first up and then out to the side for external rotation. And then we'll engage the leg, lift the leg, hover for a breath, and gently set it back down. And then we'll release the effort. Hold on to that knee for just one more breath. See what's going on before releasing and finding a brief Shafasana. This sequence, this practice is all about interoception and undoing old patterns and habits, giving our muscles a break, a little taste of freedom. So hopefully you felt some release in the psoas muscles. Now we're going to come back to constructive rest, or the foundation of the bridge pose for the body yawn. This is our next sequence. And so we keep our knees bent, feet on the floor, clasp the fingers and place them behind the neck so that the pinky edge of the fingers comes up under the base of the skull. Maybe you just kind of press into that a moment, pull the head away from the shoulders before relaxing down. Elbows out to the side. Again, we start from a place of rest. This is a two-part movement. On the first one, we kind of curve the upper and lower spine up. And we do that by bringing the elbows together and then using the fingers to pull the skull away from the shoulders and lift it. And then the pelvis tilts, navel presses down, tailbone lifts up, but the pelvis stays on the floor. So you can feel a curve in the upper and lower spine, strength or lengthening, not strengthening, and then gently lowering everything back to neutral, to rest. And now we go the opposite way. So the navel's going to lift, tilting the pelvis the opposite way. The chin lifts. Feel a stretch across the front of the chest. And then slowly lower back down. Find a place of ease. We're going to keep doing that. Slower is better. First, we bring the elbows together, lift the head away from the shoulders, but the shoulders stay mostly on the floor, the ground, and the pelvis tilts, pressing the sacrum, the navel down towards the floor, and then relaxing. Between each stretch, we completely relax. Then we lift the navel, lift the chin, feel a stretch across the front of the shoulders, and we relax. Breathe as you need to as you continue this flow. Just another couple of times at your own pace. Notice how each muscle fiber is stretching and then relaxing. Notice how these subtle movements, doesn't look like there's much going on from the outside, how they really make an impact in your internal world. Don't forget to keep that breath nice and even. And let this be your final yawn. Relaxing all effort, coming back to Shavasana or staying in constructive rest, to tune in to the breath, to sensation. This is a spinal release and warm up all at the same time. You might not sense much, but hopefully just feel a little bit more revitalized. And we prepare for our next sequence, which is, I call it the side lying runner. This is where you might like to have a blanket to place under your head. We'll be lying on our side, or you can let your head hang on the floor, which I've done before. But here I'm going to use a blanket. We're positioning ourselves to face the camera. I just say top side and bottom side, not left and right. Our knees and hips are at a right angle and stacked. And try to relax the bottom arm out in front of you and the top arm just alongside. Just settle down through your bottom side. And this is a 2-part movement. We're going to break it up first and then put it together. This first movement is with the hips. And it's to isolate the movement of walking, but without the weight of the body. This top leg kind of slides along the bottom like it's on a track. First, that knee kind of drops over the edge. So it slides forward, but it never leaves its angle, right? And then it comes back through center, and then we kind of pull the hip open behind us so the leg still stays on track. And then back through center. We'll do this once more, forward and back. So the body responds, but the only thing that's moving here is that upper thigh. Great, yeah, just watch the video if it doesn't make sense. And then we'll do the arm. So that top, or shoulder really, the top arm arcs overhead like you're reaching up, but then bring the fingers underneath the bottom ear. So here the elbow is going to move back behind us, just opening as though we're looking up towards the ceiling, but really it's elbow-led, shoulder-led. And then the neck and head are going to kind of roll with it. Yeah, and then we move really slowly and make our way back through center, and then that elbow and shoulder and head all roll towards the floor. Just kind of ease through center and open again, and then we'll close again just to get the sensations. Again, slower is better. You might just explore what it's like when you reach the end of your range of motion. Yeah, so now we're going to come back to center and put the 2 moves together, but in opposite directions. So we're going to start with the elbow going behind us and the top leg sliding forward. See how that feels. You might feel a little bit stifled by that pull away from center. And then we're going to come back through center, and the elbow is going to come forward and the hip's going to come back. So notice the sensations in the side of the body as this is going on. And we'll do this a couple more times. Moving through center, elbow opens behind us, the top leg slides forward, just exploring the motion and the end of the motion. Think of this more as a field of possibilities rather than where we can't go. It's just a different way of moving, but we're asking the muscles to undo a lot of the movements that have caused us tension over the years. So hopefully these movements feel really good. And we'll take just one more open and close in your own time. Don't forget about the breath. When you come back to center, you might relax that top arm along your side again, just for a breath. And then we're going to roll onto our backs. When you're ready, either into constructive rest or Shafasana, you can really get more of a sense of the release in the legs in Shavasana, but only if it's comfortable or accessible to you. And then notice the right side of the body and the left side of the body, depending on which side did all of that moving. See what's going on there. Sometimes it feels lower and smoother, like lower to the ground, but it could be different to you. Now prepare for the other side. So I'm actually going to flip around so I can face the camera, but you can just turn over. It's up to you. As long as it's the other side that's on top this time. So again, the hips and knees are at right angles, stacked. And that top arm can just relax along the top of the body and the bottom arm on the ground. Your head can have a support or not. And we'll do the same thing here. We're going to isolate the movements and then put them together. I'm going to scratch some bug bites on the way. Yep, it's a beautiful morning. Bugs think so too. So what happens is the top leg is going to slide just on a track. It's not ever going to change angle. And at first it's going to go forward. So the knee is just kind of like reaching towards the ground, but it's not going to get there. And we know that this movement's only a couple of inches. And then it's going to open towards the wall or space behind you. And the body responds because the hip's going back, right? And we'll do that one more time. Sliding that upper leg forward just till you stop. And then sliding it back till you open. And do take your time. I'm talking fast to get a lot of information in. But this is a very gentle movement. And then we'll pause and do the arm. When you're ready, arc the arm like you're reaching overhead. And then stick that hand underneath your head. And really that's just to get the angle. You're not moving your head with your hand. Then we're going to open the elbow behind us, neck and head can follow. Then we'll roll through center and close the elbow down towards the ground in front of us. And the head and shoulders, of course, will follow. We'll do this one more time before we put it together. Take your time. Really notice that opening. And then the closing. If you don't have a blanket, of course, your head can roll more, but if it's not comfortable, then it's not worth it. You know what I mean? So there's all sorts of ways to do this. Come back to center and we'll put the moves together. So here the elbow is going to go back while the leg slides forward. Notice it's a little bit it's like it cut short. Like, I'm trying to get further, but we'll get there. So we come back through center, the elbow comes forward and the hip slides back, and you just might feel a nice stretch along the top side. And then in your own time, keep going through these motions. Elbow and thigh traveling in opposite directions. Really exploring the end range of the motion because, we're just here to explore. See if You can't mindfully release tension as you do this. It's already happening, but intention is power. And then we're just going to roll through one more. Open the shoulders. Close with the shoulders. Before making our way back to a neutral posture. Take a breath here just to relax, and then we can release the arm. And as you're ready, now rolling into constructive rest or Shafasana, but we're going to come onto our backs so we can have a completely neutral spine and be able to kind of pit one side against the other to notice the effects of our practice. Once you've checked in with sensation, the result of our movements, you might really ease deeper into a relaxed posture, something you can maintain for a few minutes. As we end our practice, if you're in Shafasana, the feet are out to the sides of the mat, arms out with the palms up. Find a neutral posture for your spine, long back of the neck. The back side of the body sinks down towards the ground. The rest of the body lays like a blanket over the back of the body. And now we can really tune into how the breath affords us more freedom. As we focus on the breath, there's nothing to think about that brings us tension. The breath is